Good evening. Today I'm gonna read Ezekiel 33:18 through 20. It says, "If a righteous man turns from his righteousness and does evil, he will die for it. And if a wicked man turns away from his wickedness and does what is just and right, he will live by doing so. Yet, O house of Israel, you say, the way of the Lord is not just, but I will judge each of you according to his own ways." So, with that being said, I want to break it down. So in the beginning it says, if a righteous man turns from his righteousness and does evil, he would die for it. And I completely agree with that, because a righteous person, if you're considering yourself to be righteous, that means you're walking by the spirit and not by the flesh. Everything is cool, everything is good. If you have a slip up, you get back up and you continue to be righteous. But God is saying, if you're righteous and then you fall short and you don't get back up and you just stay in that sin, yeah, you're done. You're death. Because yes, God has forgiven you, but if you're gonna keep repeatedly doing the same thing or keep staying in the sin, then what can He do? What can He do? You're not trying to change. He's not gonna force you to change, because He's not gonna go against your will. So I mean, I agree with that. Then it says, and if a wicked man turns away from his wickedness and does what is just and right, he will live by doing so. Meaning, if that even applies today, like if you're somebody that committed murder, or you just did some heinous crazy stuff and you decide to change your life around and do right, you're forgiven. You get up, you walk on that right path. You may fall, but as long as you get back up and you continue to walk in righteousness and never return back to that sin, or get back up, if you do repent, then yes, you'll live. And then it says, um O house of Israel, you say the way of the Lord is not just, but I will judge each of you according to his own ways. I believe some people even now think, oh, someone could have killed somebody close to you, and you're like, you know what, I know they're going to go to hell. But that's not true. If that person who committed that murder repents for it and changes their life around, God will forgive them, and they can, and say they die the next day, they can they can go to heaven. They can go to heaven because they're forgiven. They change from that way, and God will forgive them. And some people feels like that's not fair. Yes, you feel like that because you're hurting, but in God's eyes, He sees, okay, this person um, committed a sin, but they decided to change their life around. They did not continue to keep killing people. They realized and admitted what they did was wrong, and they wanted to change their life around. Honestly, when my dad was murdered, I had that same thought. Like, those people, they're gonna pay for that. They're gonna burn in hell. But if they've repented after doing so, God will say, okay, forgive them. And if they were to pass away, we will go to heaven. And that's just how it is. And you can't really be upset with God about that, because how many times have you done something wrong? Even before, if you already have changed your life around to live for God, how much sin did you commit? And you changed your life around for the better, right? So say if God still was judging you from them past sins and didn't forgive you from that, then you just go to hell. So you just changed for nothing. You could have just continued doing what you were doing before you got saved or anything like that, or decided to change your life around. And then you would say that that's not fair. So you really got to look at stuff from a more logical point of view instead of an emotional point of view. And that's all I wanted to share today. Thank you for tuning in.